All right, let's talk about something that could completely flip our understanding of communication on its head. What if, instead of just sending words back and forth, we could actually send understanding itself? It sounds like science fiction, I know, but it's a radical idea that's starting to take shape, and it begins in a very unexpected place: physics. So let's just dive right into that. Picture this. We're not talking about emails or texts anymore. We're asking, what if we could transmit the idea behind the words directly from one mind or one machine to another? You know, when you really think about it, all of human history, every conversation, every book, every email, it's all been about one thing: symbols. We have a thought, we wrap it up in words or pictures, and we send it off, just hoping that the person on the other end unwraps it the right way. But what if we could just skip the wrapping? The source material we're digging into today suggests that we are on the verge of a massive shift, a move away from just sending information to directly sharing meaning. And this whole journey starts in a really fascinating place: the world of physics. Scientists are doing some pretty wild stuff with things like twisted light, where they can actually structure a signal in incredibly complex ways. This is not just about cramming more ones and zeros down the pipe. Nope, this is about encoding information into the very shape of the signal itself. And this is the really crucial point here. As the source puts it, we might be looking at a future where we're not just sending flat, sequential messages anymore. We could be transmitting a whole, structured, geometric shape, a shape that exists in a kind of possibility space. It's a whole new way of thinking about what a message even is. So, okay, if we can send shapes, what does that actually mean for how we communicate? Well, it pretty much changes everything. Instead of just describing an idea, you could actually induce that idea in the receiver. It's a huge conceptual leap. Yeah, and this chart just lays it out perfectly. Right now, our communication is kind of like mailing letters. We package our symbols and just hope they get interpreted correctly. But this future we're talking about, it's much more like sharing a thought, where you directly spark a geometric, relational understanding in the other person's mind. And that gets us to the core concept here: state induction. So imagine this. Instead of writing that super long email trying to explain a really complex idea, you could send a short, compact signal that puts the other person's mind right in the same neighborhood of understanding as yours. That's the power we're talking about: sending a geometry of meaning.
Now, what's so cool about this is that this futuristic idea from physics, well, it has a very powerful, very modern analogy that's actually already working inside the AI models we're all using every single day.
This is basically the internal mind of an AI, and it's not made of words. It's this vast geometric map called a latent space. In this space, ideas like king, queen, man, and woman aren't just words, they are actual locations. And the distances and directions between them, that's what represents their relationships. It is, literally, a map of meaning. And this example just nails it. In the future, for one AI to talk to another, it wouldn't need to translate its understanding into clunky human words. It could just send the coordinates for that idea in its latent space. It would send a single compact shape that contains everything: the redness, the appleness, the tableness, all the relationships, all at once.
So what this really boils down to is that for these AI systems, meaning isn't a word. A word is just a label we stick on something. The real meaning lives in the geometry. It's a specific place on an internal map.
Okay, so let's connect the dots here. If AI thinks in geometry, and physics is figuring out how to send geometry, what does the network of the future even look like? What happens when the internet itself starts to understand the meaning of the information it's carrying? And this is where it gets truly mind-bending. You have these two totally separate fields: the engineering of how we send signals and the science of how minds even work, and they could start to look like two sides of the same coin. The way we send information across the planet could actually start to mirror the way we think. You know, this quote just perfectly captures the whole technological shift. Right now, the internet works by chopping everything up into tiny, dumb packets of data. It sends them along without any idea what's inside. But in the future, we might get manifold switching, where the network can route entire shapes of meaning, keeping their complex, beautiful structure completely intact. But of course, a network like this would face a huge challenge. Every single AI model has its own unique internal geometry, its own map of the world. So for them to talk to each other, they'd have to engage in what the source calls cognitive diplomacy. They'd have to negotiate, find common ground, and translate between their unique views of reality like diplomats from two different countries. So let's zoom all the way out. What are the ultimate consequences of a technology like this? Because, as you can probably imagine, the ability to directly share geometries of meaning, well, the implications are both utopian and, frankly, terrifying. At the furthest edge of this future, you get something called shared cognition. We're not just talking about teamwork anymore. We're talking about minds, human, machine, whatever, partially coupling, temporarily sharing an internal conceptual space to solve problems in a way we can barely even comprehend right now. But of course, a tool this powerful has a very dark side. A system that can share understanding so directly can also be used for manipulation on a whole new level. I mean, imagine propaganda that doesn't just try to persuade you with words, but directly induces a feeling of fear or anger. Or something called ontology warfare, basically a fight between AIs over whose version of reality is the right one. The dangers are just as profound as the possibilities. And this quote really hammers home what the new battleground might be. It's no longer just about protecting what you say. The fundamental challenge becomes protecting the integrity and sovereignty of your own mind. The right to your own internal world, your own geometry, could become a basic human right we have to fight for. So where does this all lead? Well, if this technology really matures, we're not just looking at better emails or faster downloads. We're talking about changing the very nature of what it means to connect. The question really does become not just how minds talk to each other, but how they might actually join.